Welcome back, my people, to Road to Vegas, the poker vlog, where every hand we play is a shot at inching closer to the £5,000 bankroll challenge set to book that flight to the gambling capital of the world, Las Vegas. If you're new here, here's the story. 20 months ago, I decided to play my first live cash game with absolutely zero clue of what I was doing. The day before that, I lost my buy-in. I didn't buy in for the max, which is probably a mistake. I ran hot for a little bit and decided to get the camera out and document the entire journey and post vlogs on YouTube. Fair to say, I had no idea what I was bringing myself into.
Decide to try to trap pre-flop.
And I got humbled pretty quickly.
Tells me he had 8-7 of diamonds.
The learning curve was incredibly steep. I didn't know anyone else who played poker. I decided to just venture into this thing on my own. And so it was tough, the early days, especially if you watch the first maybe 35 vlogs. I mean, we're still making mistakes even now. Poker always has a way of humbling you and you can always improve. But 40 vlogs later, and we're putting some hours, we're working with a coach who plays professionally, and we are slowly starting to turn things around. Aim is to play far more aggressively. Excited for what the future may hold, but we still have a long way to go. I mean, we're still playing part-time for now. Every session though is a chance to level up, and today we dive into the next 3 sessions. Will they bring us closer to Vegas or serve up more lessons? Let's get into it. Really? Pocket floors. The first session ended up being an unremarkable 7-hour session. By the end of the night though, we managed to book a nice £205 win.
Sevens.
Just under an hour into session 2, we find ourselves next to act with the straddle on, peeling pocket 9s in the low jack. I raise to 15 quid. The small blind is the only caller. Heads up, 2, 3 ace, 9, 2 hearts. We flop middle set and unblock the ace. The small blind checks the standard. We bet 15. He calls, and the turn brings the 4 spades. I size up to £45 this time, and unfortunately, he lets it go. Scoop up a nice pot for our first significant hand of the vlog. We move. In the very next hand now, I'm first to act looking down at pocket kings. I raise to 8, the low jack calls, and so does the small blind. 3 ways we go, needing to fade that ace. We do. Flop comes 5, 4, 2, 2 diamonds, but this is still a dicey board for kings, despite holding the diamond. It checks to us, and I think I just want to check it to the low jack on this board out of position, who now bets £20. The small blind calls, and I just flat to control the pot size. Our opponent on our left was rather tight, and now is betting pot into 2 players, including myself as the pre-flop aggressor, which is raising alarm bells. Obviously though, he could be doing this with a worse pocket pair, so what I'm saying is just got to proceed with caution. But our worries disappear when the turn is another king. This time, when it checks to me, I decide to lead out for £35, as after I call flop, I think low jack, if he does have an overpair, will oftentimes check this card back, which I don't think we can afford with just how draw heavy this board is in general. So I like to lead for small, also because it might look a little bit unbelieving, looking like I'm just trying to take the pot down because a king hits our range really well as the pre-flop aggressor. So I think we will find light calls, and of course I think if he has anything stronger than a pair, we'll likely see a raise, and the low jack does indeed raise to £100. So only one thing to do with how much he has behind. I'm all in. He calls pretty quickly. We let him know that we have top set. The river is a clean 9 of hearts. Later tells us he had pocket 2s. Very unlucky for him there, but that is a juicy £530 pot heading our way. In this next hand, we open the jiggities to £8 in the low jack, get a call from the cutoff, and then our pal Ash in the big blind 3-bets to £48. I find that big blind 3-bet squeeze ranges tend to be very strong, so I'm just hoping Ash is doing this with ace king, and if with ace queen too, then great. I flat and we go heads up to the flop, which comes queen 2 4 2 clubs. Glad to see that Ash checks, and I decide to just check back with our second pair. The turn is a clean one, a board pair and 4 of spades. This time Ash leads out for just over half pot with a bet of £60. I think it's just too weak to fold, but perhaps the more important question is whether he will be betting again on a brick river as a bluff, as that would be a tough spot. I make the call to find out though. I'm thinking my jacks might still be ahead and that he just holds ace king, hopefully. The river is now the queen of clubs, which I don't know if I love. It all depends on what Ash thinks we have in our range. Ash does decide to check. I just check it right back, as don't think I can get value from anything worse. We show our jacks and Ash declares he did in fact have ace king and mucks. We move. Hour and a half later, we pick up ace 3 of clubs in the cutoff. A recreational player raises to £7. Happy to just make the call here with the players behind us being pretty passive. The big blind comes along as well 3 ways. The flop is queen 7 10 2 clubs. So picking up the nut flush draw, the big blind checks. The initial raiser bets pretty big, 13, and the big blind makes the call. The turn brings the 4 of clubs. Bingo. The initial raiser barrels for just under half pot. I just flat to keep the big blind in, but unfortunately he folds. No club river please, and it is a clean jack of diamonds. And we are glad to see the initial raiser go for another bet of £55, only half pot. And with him only having just over £100 behind, it is a pretty easy decision to shove all in. And after tanking for a while, he does make the correct decision and fold. Looking back, maybe raising the turn could have gotten more value, but I'll take it. What a session, guys. £515 profit. My goodness. We are making serious progress to Vegas right now. The coaching, the practicing on the weekdays online is really paying off. But reflecting on today's session, I will say I did make a mistake, probably not raising on the turn with the flush. I don't hate calling because I want to keep the big blind in it as well. But probably should raise there. Anyway, we stayed disciplined and we just waited for good hands and ran well when we got them, basically. That's been the story of the last 3-4 sessions. Anyway, guys, hope you're enjoying the content. I'm certainly enjoying the poker right now, and I hope you're seeing some progress and you're progressing your game at the same time in some way and learning from this, or, finding some sort of value. Anyway, guys, it is 11:45, I believe. It is a work day tomorrow. Yes, my people, it is the next weekend, about to commence. We are just in the pre-match lobby here, and I just want to quickly talk about things on my mind going into today's session, which are just to do some of the same things we've been doing in the last 5 sessions where we've just ran really well. Sounds boring, just waiting for a good hand, free betting it, or just trying to be the pre-flop aggressor in position. Trying to just avoid playing our position as a whole, unless of course we've got a value hand, and we just have to. But that's been working for us. Want to do more of the same, and let's hope we can book another win. I will see you at the tables. First significant hand for this session comes just over an hour after sitting down at the table with red queens in the low jack. I raise to 15, next to act in the hijack calls, who I haven't played with before, and now action folds to the small blind, who shoves his remaining £80 stack. Our hand is pretty vulnerable, so I make the standard play of shoving for the effective stack of just under £300. And now Hijack, with that effective stack, briefly thinks about it before flicking it in. Oh my days, was not expecting that. But I mean, we must be ahead here. We decide to run it
He's got more than me, I
twice.
think, no?
4 white, no table 7 and it twice, please.
You have the bullet? I'm ahead. I'm probably ahead. I'm probably ahead.
Guys,
I've got queens.
you both agree?
Yes.
Let's go.
Vulnerable. Yeah.
It's going once for those very important twice for the side.
Okay, that's probably me. Oh, unless you got 10.
Definitely sure.
Oh, yeah.
I want to go out.
Yeah, it's losing. Queens, wins, both, everything. So rank maximum, then tip yourself £5.
Just 5 minutes later, we peel another premium. Ace King in the small blind. The straddle is on and Hijack limps. And when folded to us, I ISO raise to £30. And the short stacked big blind next to Act now shoves for his remaining £90 stack. Nothing to do but call when action is back on us. Thankfully, flop shows an ace and we are good versus pocket 8. Running hot early on here. Let's go.
Taking a little break to eat our dinner at midnight. But listen, let's just enjoy the run good whilst it lasts. I did have a good hand.
We peel queens now. It's been about 2.5 hours since our last significant hand, and we are now sitting with a £770 stack. The straddle is on. I open to 15, first to act six-handed. Only the loose recreational player in the small blind calls, and we go desirable two ways in position to king 2-3 2 diamonds. So demoted to second pair. We range bet small for £10. He calls. 10 of spades on the turn brings in a second flush draw. Plenty of draws out there, and versus this loose stationary opponent, maybe there's an argument for another small bet. I can definitely see the argument for checking though, but I do decide to bet just under half pot, and when he calls again, we are ready to snap check back on most runouts, which on the 9 of spades, I do just that, which in hindsight might actually be a good card to bluff on, holding the queen of spades, but against this opponent type, I think not. He ends up flashing a king and takes it down though. Nice hand. Next up, we open queen 9 of diamonds, first to act at the bottom of our range, and end up going 5 ways in middle position to an interesting 10 ace 4 2 diamonds flop. Checks to us, and this multi-way I'm going to simply check out of position, and glad to see it checks through to a very nice turn, the 6 of diamonds. So when it checks to us now with the second nuts, it's time to put some money in. I bet a pretty chunky £25 into 40, and we get 2 gallers to go to the river, which is a clean board pair in 4. Now with just shy of 120 in the pot, I bet 50 quid. Just trying to give them both a good price to make a crying call, and after just 10 seconds, they both end up calling, and we are going to take this one down with our queen eye flush. Let's go. Around 40 minutes go by since our last significant hand, and we are getting ready to leave as I rack up my chips, not expecting or wanting to play another hand. I get up, and then the dealer accidentally deals us in, and I'm just like, go on then, I'll just see what we got. Healing a free hand can't hurt, but we peel none other than Ace King of Hearts. What's more interesting is that the best player on the table on our direct right has opened from first to act. 1 minute, I was just getting up to leave, and now I am free betting ace king of hearts in early position versus a tight, aggressive professional poker player who had voiced his appreciation for the vlog, and I do 3-bet to 30 quid 3x, and we get one surprising cold call from the cutoff and the big blind, and the pro just ends up flat in. So going 4 ways to the flop, maybe we will just whiff and we will just lose 30 quid here, but no. Because the poker gods decide we are not quite leaving this session with enough profit. Let us give you a flop, a rainbow flop, king to king. When checked to me on such a dry rainbow flop out of position, I'm actually happy to just check this one over to the loose player in the cutoff. Although I can definitely see an argument for just betting really small here. Anyway, cutoff unfortunately does decide to check back, and now the turn is an inconspicuous 4 of hearts. A clear bet when it checks to me for a second time now. I bet 1/4. Cutoff is out of there. Happy to see big blind make the call. And interestingly now, the pro to our direct right decides to raise it up to £100. Well, he might have a worse king here after we checked back flop. So obviously I make the call, and we are now heads up to a blank 5 of diamonds river, whereby he now goes ahead and bets £350 for a pot-sized bet, sending me deep into the tank.
Oh. Really? Pocket fours. Pocket fours. Deuces.
King 4, no. King deuce.
And you might be trying to get me off the chop as well. But I don't think you're flat and ace king proof. But why would you?
Let's party.
Literally, I can only think of pocket fours.
We're sitting here with the £200-300.
Fold.
Pass. Who's your race king?
Yep.
I'd love to say it.
I'm absolutely fuming.
You want to show for the vlog?
If I call the 100, I make pocket fives on the river.
The fives.
Oh, pocket fours!
It's like calling a rooney on the river.
Had to be the very last hand. It's always when I try to get clever and slow play, especially multi-way. I can't believe I'm still saying this, but fancy play syndrome got me for the 10th time. It's been way more than 10 times. Probably should just keep it simple and bet that flop. 4 ways, I think 3 ways we can check. At least we found the fold though. At least we found the fold. I do think when you think about it, when you really go and think about a hand, that he really only has pocket fours, pocket deuces. But yeah, it was a tough fold in the moment. I still made £390. Guys, we are progressing well. We're running well for the most part. Just got to keep going, keep improving. But anyway, nothing to do. I got home. It is 4 a.m. and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.